wholeness comes from the inside out.
When we're living congruently with our values, there's happiness because there is that sense of wholeness.
Wholeness is when the way of your being matches the truth of your being.
Today we're going to ask the question, what is apathy? And apathy is something that we haven't really understood very much, but it's very common, and we have different ways that we express it and talk about it, but we're going to explore those today.
And in coping with apathy, we're going to give you a couple of options because you may want to shift it. You may be ready to release that apathy, and it's possible that apathy is serving you.
Apathy was one of the words or the emotions that was brought about in the English language later on. Most of these were like 1200s, 1300s. This was 1600s before it became an idea that was used in everyday language. And it meant freedom from emotion. Freedom from emotion, or I would say numbness even. We'll talk about that a little more later. Or a passionless existence.
Oh, that's sad.
It's so hard. So many of us, though, experience apathy in one way or another. And if we think about the systems of the body, how does our breathing and our eyes and our heartbeat, things that we've talked about in the other videos, when it comes to apathy, there's a sense of numbness that I connect to when I think about what the body does with apathy. It just things become so much more difficult than they really are. There's a lot of tiredness. People will maybe say, I'm just so tired, I'm tired. When really what's going on is they're feeling an emotion of apathy. Or I just can't motivate myself, or I can't get anything done. And it's really difficult to be in that state, to be in the state of apathy. But it's very common. We just need to learn a little bit more about it.
One of the reasons that apathy shows up in our life, if we are dealing with something that's very painful or difficult, maybe a severe disappointment or trauma or something hard, a lot of times we just can't bear to feel the pain, and so we shut everything off. And it goes back to that definition, we become emotionless. And that state of emotionless feels better than the state of feeling the pain. And so while that can be a good coping mechanism for a time, it's helpful sometimes to say, I just can't care about this, or it will be too much. Now that's certainly understandable, but we don't want that to become a long-term solution, because what you end up with is the second definition, which is a passionless life. We don't want that to be your outcome. We were born with inherent things that we love and are passionate about and desire and want to achieve and want to create. And so to suppress all of that is really a hard state of existence. So when we think of the opposite of love is not hatred. The opposite of love is apathy. Because if you think about loving something, you care deeply about it. You feel connected to it. You feel, you have a lot of feelings about it. And when you're in a state of apathy, none of that applies. And so apathy is really a state of indifference. It's a state where you're suppressing all of your emotions, like concern or excitement or passion or motivation. We're suppressing all of that. And because of that, people that are apathetic really can lack a sense of purpose or meaning in their lives. And that's why it's important to identify so that we can shift and change things.
Brene Brown always talks about how we numb, so that there's that purpose of I need to numb in this moment, but we can't selectively numb, she says. We cannot numb the negative without numbing the positive. So while we are numbing the pain, we are also blocking ourselves from feelings of peace and joy. So it's important to when we have this emotion, to do the work to process through it and let it pass through us so that we can move on to something else.
And so we hope that this explanation of apathy helps you maybe identify if that's what you're feeling in your life, if that's what you're challenged with or struggling with. We're going to talk about how to move through that state of apathy and get you back connected to life and back to a feeling of purpose, and hopefully help you connect to that reason that you're here, and just know that we believe in you, that we care deeply about you, and that we know you have something great to contribute to this world, and you have a life worth living.
As with all the emotions, it's so important to start out with understanding and honoring the feelings that we have. That's always step number one.
Yeah.
As soon as we put resistance, then
Or judgment.
then it seems to persist. So understanding and honoring those feelings is a really important step in being able to process emotions. There are different ways that we need to look at. So where is the emotion coming from? We may need to ask ourselves if that apathy is asking us to rest. That's a possibility.
I think sometimes when we have huge projects or big events or things that maybe go on for months to prepare, like
Pushed us.
our first live event took us so many months to put together, and it was so stressful, and so many things were unknown, and we were scared.
It was a lot of work.
A lot of energy, and after it was over, we were both exhausted. Like for months, we didn't want to do anything.
Right, the motivation was gone.
And it was a huge success,
It was.
but still,
we were experiencing apathy. And as we looked at that, we realized that we were going to look to that as a message, and it was time to rest. It's time to say we were going 100 miles an hour, and that was our body's way of saying it's time to stop and rest. And I think that's okay. And I think that's a beautiful thing that apathy can do. It can be a sign of time to change what you're doing, time to calm down, and time to try something different.
You may need to spend some time focusing on yourself and replenishing yourself. And that, in fact, I was pondering the other day about the creation of the world, and what came to me was that the seventh day, which is the day of rest, the day where nothing happened, no creation happened, that seventh day was just as important as the 6 days of creation that preceded it. And so it really is important for us to honor ourselves when we are saying we need time off, we need time away, we need to disconnect from all that passion and motivation and just be still. That's okay.
And we talked about in the previous video, apathy is just kind of going into numbness or going into neutral, let's say. And sometimes we need that neutral. But we don't want to stay there. Because if we stay in neutral or we stay in numb, then we miss out on the great things in life. And so it's important to see if that apathy is coming from a place of time off or if it's coming from somewhere else. And we have to kind of trust that, because I remember in the book Untethered Soul, he talks about a man. He says, imagine that you were sad for whatever reason, and you don't eat very much, and you don't sleep very much, and you lay on the couch. So you're living an apathetic life, really. And then somebody calls, and they're going to come over, and it's exciting to you, and you all of a sudden you hop off the couch, and you clean your house as fast as you can, and you've got all the energy that you need. So it's important to trust that when it's time to move into another state, if your body's just needing some rest, that the energy and the desire will be there when it comes. When it comes from a place of masking pain, then that might not show up that same way.
So if you think of some time when you've had a real hard disappointment or some emotional pain in your life, it's hard in that moment or in that experience to always know how to feel it or process it or what to do with it. And so it is easier to just shut it down and disconnect from it. And the important thing to realize is that pain doesn't go away, that you're still holding that pain on some level, and the apathy is just like a thin mask over that. But the minute you take that apathy away, that pain is going to show up. It's going to be right there waiting for you. And that can feel daunting, I know, at times, but one of my favorite quotes talks about how most people don't want to go back to the pain in their trauma of their life because they don't want to feel the pain. But the truth is they are carrying that pain with them every day. So they have already felt the pain. What they haven't felt is what life would be like if you could move beyond that pain. And to put it in a more physical example, I have this weight here. So if you can imagine somebody that wanted to strengthen their muscles and get themselves more toned and fit, if they were sitting there using that weight, but every time that muscle became exhausted and it hit a point of pain, if they just dropped the weight and let go of it, every time they touched a point of pain, they would never develop or strengthen or progress. And so what I want to offer you right now is a moment for you to connect to your pain. If the apathy is a result of pain that you're trying to avoid, let's take a moment and look at that. Michelle and I will hold a space of love for you so that you feel safe in this moment, having someone with you to explore that pain. So let's start by connecting to the heart, taking some deep breaths, allowing that breath to come in and out through the heart. And if there's anything that you need to feel safe to move forward with that exercise, please take care of that need. And once you find that safe space, let's identify where in your body are you holding on to that pain. You'll be able to feel it somewhere. You might feel tense or tight or heavy. And if you identify where the pain is, allow yourself to see it as a shape. What shape is it? How big is it? What color is it? Once you get a sense of the size and the depth of that pain, imagine that that shape that's holding that pain had eyes. And as you look into those eyes, what are the eyes expressing? And is there something those eyes want to say to you? And how do you feel when you hear that? Is there something you want to say to the eyes? That shape has been holding that pain for you. Can you say to that shape, I see you, and I know that you're real. I know that you exist. And how does that pain feel to be known and seen? And is that shape happy holding that state of pain for you? Or would it rather hold something else? And know that that pain can change. Just like you chose to hold the pain there, you can also choose to set it free. And if you're ready, allow that pain to transform into something more positive that can serve you and support you in your life. And as you move past the pain, notice what is behind that pain. What is waiting for you? Behind that pain might be your motivation, your passion, your love for life. Whatever you see there, I want you to acknowledge it and say, I see you, my passion. I see you, my love. I see you, my sense of adventure, or whatever you find there. And allow those new positive feelings to expand and grow and take hold in your heart and in your life. So we hope that this little process of looking at the pain, looking at your need to rest, looking at all of the possibilities that apathy has brought to you and done for you, you can even take a minute to thank your apathy. Thank you for coming into my life at this time and supporting me in this way. And we hope that as you learn how to not just cope with this apathy, but to move beyond it and to work through it in your life, that you will connect to your heart again, to your passion again, to your love for life again, and that you will find joy.
Feel empowered every day with wholeness videos, meditations, downloads, classes, and more by joining the Wholeness Library at thewholenessnetwork.com.